That's probably the simplest way I can explain my life right now. I could dress it up. I could use better words. I could say I'm going through a period of social isolation. I could say modern society has become increasingly disconnected. I could talk about economics, technology, loneliness, social media, politics, artificial intelligence, the cost of living, the decline of community, any of the other gigantic forces that seem to be rearranging the world around me. But when I wake up in the morning, none of those complicated explanations really matter. I wake up and I'm alone. I pick up my phone and the entire world is screaming at me. That's basically life. The strange silence of having no friends. There's a particular kind of silence that comes with having no friends. It isn't necessarily physical silence. There can be cars outside. People can be talking on television. My phone can be playing a video. Somebody upstairs can be moving furniture around for reasons I'll never understand. There's noise everywhere. But underneath all that noise, there's another kind of silence. Nobody is calling me. Nobody is saying, "What are you doing tonight?" Nobody is telling me some ridiculous story about what happened to them at work. Nobody is knocking on my door. Nobody is saying, "Come outside." Nobody is asking if I want to grab something to eat. And eventually, that absence becomes part of the architecture of your life. You stop expecting the phone to ring. You stop wondering what you're doing Friday night. Friday night becomes another night. Saturday becomes another day. Weekends don't necessarily mean anything anymore because weekends are meaningful when there are people to share them with. Otherwise, Saturday afternoon can feel exactly like Tuesday afternoon. Time starts losing some of its structure. The world continues operating according to this enormous social calendar. Birthdays, weddings, vacations, parties, dinners, concerts, holidays, reunions, and I'm standing somewhere outside of it watching everything happen. Sometimes I don't even know whether I'm lonely anymore. That's the strange part. Maybe loneliness eventually becomes something else. Maybe if you're alone long enough, loneliness stops feeling like an emergency and starts feeling like the weather. It's just there. Everybody seems to have disappeared. I remember when friendship felt more natural. You didn't have to organize everything. You didn't have to schedule a conversation 3 weeks in advance. You didn't have to send somebody a message and wonder whether they were going to answer it tomorrow, next week, or never. People just appeared. You knew people because you were around people. You ran into somebody. Somebody knew somebody. You went somewhere and ended up talking to a stranger. You hung around. You wasted time together. And I think wasting time together was actually one of the foundations of friendship. Nobody talks about that. Friendship requires enormous amounts of completely unproductive time. Sitting around doing nothing. Walking somewhere for no reason. Talking about nonsense. Eating cheap food. Complaining. Laughing at things that aren't even funny. Having conversations that go nowhere. That's how people become part of each other's lives. But modern life seems obsessed with eliminating wasted time. Everything has to be efficient. Everything has to be optimized. Everything has to have a purpose. People work, they commute, they stare at their phones, they order things online, they watch something, they sleep, they wake up and repeat it. And somewhere along the way, the casual human interaction that used to fill the spaces between everything else started disappearing. I feel that disappearance. I don't know if everybody does, but I do. Then I look at the world, and this is where things even get stranger. Because if my personal life were quiet while the outside world seemed relatively stable, maybe I could accept the quiet. But that's not what it feels like. I have no friends while simultaneously watching what feels like one of the strangest periods of modern history unfolding in real time. Every morning I look at my phone and there's another thing, another crisis, another controversy, another technological breakthrough, another company laying people off, another price going up, another institution losing people's trust, another politician screaming, another billionaire doing something bizarre. Yes.
You want to eat now or you want to eat later?
I'll eat later.